Minnesota Vikings going into Soldier Field, taking care of business today. They pick up their first division game win of the season. We're here to break it all down on another Minnesota Vikings postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got the full four-man crew today. Myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's Ron Johnson down there. He's on X, at @Ron Johnson. Host of the Ron Johnson Show right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Luke Braun, of course, host of the Locked On Vikings podcast each and every day. He's on X, at Luke Braun NFL. And of course, we got the glue to the entire operation over there, Sam Ekstrom, host of the new Minnesota Football Party and Minnesota Basketball Party as well. He's on X, at Sam Ekstrom. Okay, guys, before we jump into it, quick reminder, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry about when and where you're buying your tickets to the next big event. Gametime is the fast and easiest way to buy tickets to sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Right now, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase when you download the Gametime app. Gametime tickets always has the lowest price, guaranteed. All right, fellas, let's get into the nuts and bolts here. Ron, let's start with you. Feels like it's always a tight matchup when you're playing in Soldier, no matter what the teams and rosters look like, I swear. Vikings, though, come away victorious. They get a much-needed close victory, division victory, on the road. Just your knee-jerk reaction, early impressions from this one. What was a couple big takeaways for you?
It wasn't a good game to me. I mean, it was defensively. I think Brian Flores did a great job early on. I think when the quarterback change happened, it kind of threw off the containing the quarterback, spying the quarterback idea, and they had to become a true sit back and just try to stop the quarterback team. They did good for the most part, but overall, honestly, I just don't feel like it was a solid, defeat, which it should have been with a team like that. DJ Moore didn't do much, and when that happens, you should feel like they should dominate, and they didn't. So I'm a little perplexed about what this team is going to be against a team like the 49ers.
Yeah, good point there. Plenty to dissect and kind of sift through. Why couldn't they step on the gas there at the end? A little bit more in depth and in detail as we keep going. But Luke, I mean, just one or two big takeaways as you kind of sat there and watched this one unfold at the end.
I mean, how many 3-and-outs did they have? This
Yeah.
is the thing. I mean, this is, I called it on Twitter. This is a horrifying win. When you have Justin Fields, you got bad Justin Fields in this game, and then he gets knocked out and you get Tyson Bagent, you get an undrafted rookie. When that is what is happening across the field, and when the defense is handing you a game like that as an offense, you simply must do more. That just is not good enough from the offense. And I know they didn't have Justin Jefferson. We all adjusted our expectations for what the offense, they're not going to put up 45 without JJ. We get it. But you have to do more than that. Somebody on that offense had to step up more than they did. Because ultimately, I mean, the Bears offense outscored the Vikings offense. It's just that there was a defensive touchdown there, which that's how it goes. W's are W's. They all count the same. There's no style points. So I'll give it to them. But this is a game where I think the Vikings offense has some soul searching to do going into a game against San Francisco. That's going to be a way tougher test.
Yeah, feels like it's always ugly when you go to Soldier, man. Sam, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the offense and defense a little bit more here in a second. But again, the big Achilles heel for this team all season long has been the turnovers, right? They scored 13 points off the turnovers today. Thank goodness. 3 turnovers by the defense. Byron Murphy, of course, seals the deal at the end with that pick. Crazy what can happen, though, when you win the turnover battle and just simplify the game a little bit more, isn't it?
Yeah, it helps on a day when your offense gets 2 first downs in the second half, 1 first down prior to the final drive of the game. Absolutely unacceptable offensive play, and the defense does bail them out today. And isn't this the exact conversation we had after Carolina? The 2 Vikings wins have both been ugly in nature. They've both been aided by the defense. I want to teach you guys a new word. It's called enucleation. This is what happens when you remove a badly damaged or diseased eye. That's what I have after watching the Vikings offense today. But you know what? The Bears offense was even worse. The Bears offense was even worse. And the Vikings have won 4 straight times at Soldier Field. And in each case, the Vikings are wretched on offense, and the Bears are even worse. So this is a Soldier Field thing. This is where offenses go to die. So if you get out of there with a road division victory, just burn the tape, enucleate yourself, and get out of there. It's a victory. The season lives on.
5, by the way, 3-and-outs of 12 possessions. Almost half the time they went 3-and-out.
Yeah, well,
Soldier Field or not, get your crap together. Come on, man.
Dude,
You're supposed to be an offensive head coach. It's
and the thing off that too, just stemming off that for 10 seconds, it's like, okay, you score right before the half, and then you get the ball in the second half. You get 5 yards on first down from Alexander Madison. It's 2nd and 5. No gain to TJ Hawkinson. A deep out to KJ Osborne goes off his fingertips, and you're thinking, man, a 3 and out to start that second half is just not what you want to see. Let me rewind just a little bit here, because again, Kirk Cousins had the 1 interception today. No fumbles though today. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
Well, he tried. He tried really hard to fumble, though.
He did try. Yeah, he did try. Obviously, Jordan Hicks gets the scoop and score off the Josh Metellus strip sack. Things we just haven't really seen, though, from this defense a ton yet this year under Brian Flores. Ron, I get it. These division games in general are always usually close. That's just how it works. But you're sitting there in the fourth quarter, up 13. Justin Fields is ruled out of the game. Here comes Tyson Bagnet, a rookie with 0 experience. And the Vikings just slowly let this team back into this one. What was it today specifically that you saw that they struggled from just, again, putting the foot on the gas, running away with this one, and make you feel better about the future, closing games out moving forward? Because it feels like we've been in a 1-score game now, 49 out of the last 50 games, man. What's the deal?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. The usage of the run game to me just seemed like it was missing. The ability to just put their foot on somebody's throat just seems to be missing. There are fundamental things with this offensive line that I just don't get. I even listened to Pete Burris a little bit at the end, talk about the number of times at the end of the game to close out, you got free runners coming through that could force a fumble. And so it just doesn't seem like, I don't know if Dalton Reisner is the guy coming up. I don't know if this is going to be a long-term thing. He looked good from the couple pass plays I saw. But we'll see. I don't know. I don't know fundamentally what the answer is. I saw the jokes about Kevin O'Connell out there with the saber and punching players and ending practice early. Like maybe there needs to be some type of foot on necks, to make these guys feel a little bit of pressure of like, you got to play better all the time, because it's just not there all the time.
Yeah, no, well said. I do want to tap into the offense a little bit more moving forward here, and what it all looked like too, guys, without Justin Jefferson today. But first, let's go to Sam with a quick word from our sponsor. Sam.
Yep. Let me tell you about the Gametime app. This is the ultimate way that you get a ticket into all the best events in the Twin Cities. I'm a big convert. Recently went to the Twins Game 4, found an incredible deal on Gametime, kind of overlooking the field behind home plate on the second level. Wonderful experience. It was very easy. And you know what I love about Gametime is that when I go to the app, I don't punch in the number of tickets I want. I don't get to the final screen and they add like $80 to $100 in hidden fees. No, they give you the number up front. I love their last-minute ticket deals, their flash deals, their zone deals. They give you views from the seat so you know where you're going to be sitting in the venue, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. They've got everything to make your experience awesome to get into concerts and sporting events and other events around town. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Luke Braun, tell us about PrizePicks.
Yeah, today's Locked On Vikings postcast is brought to you by PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy. PrizePicks is not daily fantasy as you are typically familiar with it, though. It is a more than less than game. So it's just you versus the house. You don't have to enter a pool with 4,000 other people, whole bunch of sharps trying to get crazy outlier things. Like, that world is so unfun to me. But PrizePicks, I have been having a blast. Locked On Vikings Fridays, we do PrizePicks, prized picks every single week. Been having a blast with that. Got some bad beats with injuries today, but we keep on going. All you have to do is pick 2 to 6 of your favorite players, and then whether they'll do better or worse than their PrizePicks projection, and you slam them all together to try to get a bigger payout. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL, and you can get a first deposit match up to $100, or just use code LockedOnNFL. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL, or code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100 at PrizePicks.
Thank you, boys. Ron, right before the break, brought up a really good point I want to talk about and dive into. You talked about the run game. It's been virtually non-existent thus far, and we all hope Madison could kind of fill the shoes of Dalvin Cook. And even with Dalvin last year, though, you think about it again, wildly inefficient, kind of a boomer bust runner. So call it 20, 25 games now in a row. It just, the run game has not been the strength or identity of the team. Luke, you watch a lot of tape all week. What's the issue with the run game right now? Is it the players or the personnel? Is it the blocking up front? Is it the play calling? Is it the game situations, being behind a lot early in these games this year? What is it, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's going to have a different answer game to game. And honestly, the last 2 games, the run game's been fantastic. So it was a bummer to see it kind of grind back down to a halt. That's going to be one of the things that I definitely need to watch the tape, get the right angle, be able to slow things down a little bit to see better. But from, I guess, the live eye reaction, it did look like there were some running lanes and that Madison just wasn't finding them. That's my guess. But that's always going to be, I guess there was one where I know Darisaw was driving a guy out and he could have cut back. And it just didn't work out there. And I mean, Cam Akers had his bozo moment as well. So this isn't like they're starting the wrong guy kind of thing. I think it just didn't find the lanes today. But that Bears run defense has had 3 good games in a row, so they deserve a little bit of credit too. That was something I put forth as a mismatch, and the pass pro was fantastic. So that was more what I was talking about. But yeah, I should probably eat a little bit of crow there. Just the Bears did well on run defense.
Rod, they showed the opening graphic in the first quarter when the Vikings kicked that field goal in the first quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did that say those were the first points the Vikings have scored in the first quarter or on the opening drive all season? Either way, kind of wild to think about, because remember last year, KOC in this offense was outstanding on the opening drive, that opening drive game script. Ron, what are you seeing early on here that's kind of dug the Vikings into a big hole early on in the first quarter? Now, didn't happen today, obviously, but still, again, not oozing a ton of confidence from this offense thus far early in these games.
Well, first I want to say the usage of bozo was hilarious. I just remember the old Tiger Woods headline that they said Elon said that Tiger Woods is a bozo. So I felt like that moment in there. But I'd say the first 15 plays scripted last year were ridiculously great. It felt like everything was on rhythm. Felt like Kirk Cousins had a handle in the playbook. This year, honestly, it feels like Kevin O'Connell was throwing darts in his pocket and then he's pulling out a play and saying, okay, let's run this play. Because it just doesn't make sense. There are some plays I will say, and I agree with Luke on this. When you go back and watch film, you're like, oh, if he had just went this way, or oh, if he had just done this, it felt like a lot of the times it's boom or bust. Like play action sometimes without even running the ball to me seems arbitrary. It seems like, hey, we're just running a play action. If you're going to change the pocket, and that's the big thing about play action, you're trying to suck the linebackers up and you're trying to remove the pocket from the normal spot. Get Kirk Cousins outside the pocket. We haven't seen much boot right or boot left this year. Like it just seems like he's a statue in the pocket, and then he's like trying to figure out where to throw the ball. Get him moving a little bit. Give him a chance to run the ball. I know he's not a runner, but you have to put fear in some of these defensive ends to say you got to set the edge, because they're not. They're giving the tackles a true two-way go because they're like, look, if I go in or out, either way, Kirk Cousins is still going to be there when I get there. And I think that's part of it. He's got to be able to boot out and create some movement within these receivers. But that first 15 to me, just I don't know. It just seems like maybe it's the same thing as last year and they expected it to work. You saw the graphic again this week of games under 8 points or less. They were 11-0. This year, not the same. They were 1-4. Today, finally, they won again, so they're 2-4. But it's not what it was last year, and it just feels like these guys are so used to winning these close games that they're letting some of these games just like think, okay, somebody's going to make a play, and it's like, no, you have to make the play.
Yeah, no,
slow.
Well said. Yeah, go ahead, Luke. Yeah,
it's the offense executes slowly, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's footwork on guys, it's routes, it's the execution of being able to take the snap, turn around, play action, get turned around and throw the ball. And is the guy there or not? Or is that already late and he's already gone past the place he's supposed to be? And especially when your staple kind of 7-yard hitter, the quick game they start, or I call it quick game because that's kind of how they use it, is these like keeper flash or keeper slide plays, right? Where you play action, roll out, and you have somebody kind of on the line of scrimmage, like a tight end that's supposed to catch the ball and run. The clock on that play is the edge rusher coming at the quarterback. It's as fast as he can come is how much time you have to do it. And they just are not able to execute within those time constraints that the defense is giving them. And this is like a known, you're going to get that. That's not, oh no, surprise, the edge rusher came. That guy is coming. That is how everybody plays this now. You just have to tighten up and quicken up and do better execution. And it's not something that's like a new thing that they were installing. They did this better last year. They've gotten worse at something as a whole. And that this is really disappointing. It used to be really quick and clean at this kind of stuff.
No, you're absolutely right. It was almost effortless, those first 15 plays, like Ron pointed out last year. Just polar opposite. I had to take a picture of it. 6 opening drives, 0 touchdowns this year, 1 field goal. That was today. 2 punts and 3 turnovers, man. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Hey, Sam, Vikings, this team, right? They haven't proved that they're a good team yet, right? They're only 2-4. It is what it is. But they have proved, I think, that they're not a hopeless team, right? Like, they've done that. You do that by losing to 4 teams by 1 score or less, 2 of which were in the Super Bowl last year. So I guess has this victory silenced the panic, all the conjecture about tanking for a quarterback like Caleb Williams next season and all that talk?
No, it hasn't. No one's going to be happy with this. I'm reading the comments right now. This is not an invigorated fan base off of this win. No one is going into their schedule projection and circling the Niners game and changing the L to a W. Everyone still assumes that they're going to get boat raced by San Francisco next week. I should check and see if San Francisco won the game today. They were in a
going on
dogfight. Oh, they're trailing the Browns. They could lose. They could have 1 loss on their ledger. I don't know if you want to get an angry Niners team coming into US Bank Stadium next week, but Minnesota did nothing today. And this is the same as the Carolina win. You don't feel great about your defensive performance. You don't feel like it's sustainable, as good as it was. You just played such an ineffective offensive operation. You played Bryce Young, who was totally frazzled as a rookie quarterback, and you played Tyson Bagent for a half, and a Justin Fields that couldn't avoid the rush, and just a bad Bears team. So you can't even hang your hat that much on those defensive performances. But it's on the Vikings to flip the script. If they go out and they play good enough football that we think they can play, at least offensively, and win a game they're not supposed to win, that will change the narrative. But the 2 wins are about as underwhelming as they come this year. Things can change fast in the NFL, though. I mean, it's a 2 week by 2 week league. If you're on a 2-game losing streak, the sky is falling. If you're on a 2-game winning streak, people are back on the bandwagon. So go beat San Francisco and do something crazy next week. Until then, I don't think anybody's changing their mind about where this team is going.
Yeah, a lot of good points there. Nobody feels good about this one, that's for sure. Ron, we touched on the offense a little bit, but just game 1 without Justin Jefferson. Got a small taste last week what it might look like when he went out versus the Chiefs at the end, but that was the A topic all week. What's this offense going to look like with JJ? How big of a role will Jordan Addison be able to carve out early in this one? Again, extra opportunities. Think about this, JJ, an insane 38% share of the team's passing game numbers. So safe to say there should be plenty to go around here. We've kind of picked on this offense quite a bit already, but specifically the passing game today, Kirk Cousins had his mildest game, to say the least, statistically. You expect more versus a Bears defense that's still trying to figure everything out. But how did you see the defense adjust a little bit now that Justin Jefferson, a premier weapon in the NFL, was not on the field for this passing game?
Yeah, I mean, what you notice is you didn't see a lot of the guys scared of like sitting on routes. There was a lot of the guys sitting on routes. There was no true threat in the middle of the field. Justin Jefferson is a true, like, he's like Chris Carter mixed with Randy Moss. Like, he's not truly Randy and he's not truly Chris. He's like a mix of both. He's a possession receiver that can control the middle of the field, makes every catch, makes the tough catches, but he's also a guy that's going to give you some highlights down the field. He's a guy that can stretch the field when he needs to. So he's kind of mix of the both, but he's not neither 100%. You don't have that right now. You have a guy in Jordan Addison trying to figure it out, and you have a guy in KJ Osborne who seems like he's taken a couple steps back when you look at some of his routes today and the after the catch stuff. Just very perplexing, to say the least. And even Jordan Addison on that, they tried to run a jailhouse kind of a tunnel screen. And if he had just kept going east and west and just go completely diagonal and cut it all the way across the field. I think he has a bigger play. He catches it and tries to get right up the field right now. And the backside from behind him makes the tackle. So there's little things like that with this defense, this offense that the defense is not, people aren't scared of anymore. So
yeah, no, you're right. A lot of good points there. Sam, I'll give you the closing arguments, as you could say, on the offensive side of the ball here before we move to the defense. Who do you want to see more of offensively to get this thing clicking? We just have not seen a complete game, and obviously things are going to look a lot harder now without JJ, but they've still got the weapons to be the identity of this team, don't they?
Yeah, Cam Akers underutilized.
Yeah.
1 carry today. And I would push back, on something Braun said earlier. I think they had 2 good rushing performances. I don't know if Kansas City was one of them. I think that the Chargers game and the Panthers game you like, and then the other 4 have been, and it kind of overlooked the Kansas City game. Sometimes I do the same, but 4 out of 6 have been real clunkers. And when you trade for a guy in Cam Akers and your run game has been so lackadaisical, and you give him 1 carry when you ran the ball 22 times, I'm just confused by that. I don't think Alexander Mattison, he stretches a lot of balls out to the outside, but it doesn't get north and south. So I'd like to see a little more Cam Akers, a little more diversity in the run game. I was hopeful that Brandon Powell would be more involved today. He wasn't exactly. 3 catches for 20 yards. I was hopeful that Jordan Addison would be more involved today. Nice touchdown. He's turning into a touchdown machine. I like that. But the overall point, too, with this offense, you got to catch some difficult balls. There are so many balls hitting tight ends and receivers' hands, dropping to the turf, that are difficult catches. Yes, they might not be classified as drops, but over time, it adds up when you don't make plays in the receiving game. And without Justin Jefferson to make 60% of his contested catches, you got to pick up the slack somewhere and make some difficult grabs in traffic, diving to the ground, what have you, and help out Kirk Cousins, because his ball placement has been a little wonky at times, but you can also bail him out. That's legal to do. So I got to see more from this receiving core. I think they're capable of doing that.
Good point on the contested catches there, man. A lot of frustration, I feel like, from the fan base not hauling in some of those, and back-to-back weeks specifically. Yeah, Luke, did you have something to say?
It's consistency, right? Yeah. Here's a great catch. Here's a bad non-catch. How about do everything good enough every play, right? The ups and downs have been infuriating the whole time O'Connell has been the coach, right? I mean, they've last year they had these streaks where they would just like completely sputter to nothing and go entire quarters without a first down, and they had another one like that this week. And it's every game is like this. It's about consistency. I'm sick of seeing the highlights. Show me a higher floor. But Luke, if you want to transition to the defense, I actually got something from Alec Lewis, who saw Marcus Davenport exiting the locker room with a boot on his foot. Yeah,
perfect segue. Let's flip over to the defense here in a moment after another word from our sponsor. Sam, go ahead, take it away.
Yep, you got it. Let me tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire feels like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you check out LinkedIn Jobs. They help find the right people for your team faster and for free. I really appreciate that they use these screening questions to try to filter out candidates, make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire, because it stinks to sift through a large virtual stack or physical stack of resumes to go through. Small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, Luke, defense gives up 13 points on the road, 5 sacks, 3 turnovers. News, notes, observations you saw from the defense today in Soldier Field.
This might be the easiest assignment. I don't want to speak too ill of the Bears, but I kind of do.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to come up with this game plan. Send the house and watch Justin Fields fall apart. That's exactly what we saw. Then he gets knocked out, and then they got a rookie in there. You keep doing the same thing, right? For all of the whinging we just did about the offense and saying somebody make a play, how many people answered that call on the defense. Josh Metellus with a whole bunch of them, Byron Murphy with a couple of crazy ones, Andrew Booth getting in on purpose, rotating in and actually having a couple of good, gave up one on a curl. And I think that was actually it. Everybody getting in there and making plays. I saw Kyrie's Tonga coming in, having a little bit of a revenge game. A lot of people stepped up and made plays, and that's what this defense is designed to do, is give you an opportunity to go be a playmaker, but you got to be a playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Ron, kind of same question. I mean, 6-week sample size now of this new Brian Flores defense. He's one of the league leaders in sending the blitz. We saw it again today, as Luke pointed out. Got good pressure on Justin Fields and the backup. What's your evaluation through 6 games now, though? What's improved from last year to this year that you feel good about moving forward?
Well, one, I'll say for those that don't know, the Browns just beat the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers had a chance to kick a field goal from their 20, and he missed it wide right. Very Vikings-ish of him. From like the 20, yeah, wide right. And so the Browns pull off the upset over the 49ers. One thing to think about that, I was hoping the 49ers won because fat cats get slaughtered. You were hoping that the 49ers walked into US Bank Stadium extremely confident. And the Vikings, the Vikings could have been the trap game, but they got trapped by the Browns. So now they're going to come out hit on all cylinders against the Minnesota Vikings. Moving on to Brian Flores' defense. And sorry, Luke, and the question was what? His usage of blitz?
Well, just 6 games now, small sample size, sure, but a third of the way through the season now. What do you think about Brian Flores' defense getting better each week?
Yeah, I will say this. They forced a lot of turnovers. The one thing, and I said this week 1, and I think everybody should remember this, I said Ivan Pace Jr. was going to be the starting linebacker, and he has held up to that. Now, not so much as just him, but also because of Brian Asamoah not being as physical as I think they need it to be, where Ivan Pace Jr. gives you that linebacker that's going to meet, linemen in the hole. He's going to, come up and make the big hits, where Asamoah, 1, a little bit of injury early on, and then 2, just losing it to production. When you think about what's next with this Brian Flores, like the evolution, is more of what we saw today. More turnovers. They have to force more turnovers. And I think Robert Smith pointed out something huge too about this defense. Harrison Smith has the opportunity to call his own blitz. He's got to give some type of signal though, like a pitcher would do if you're on the Astros and you're trying to cheat, or the hitting coach. You got to give a signal to your other safeties or your linebacker, whoever's supposed to, because when you blitz, you replace. If he's going to blitz, somebody has to replace him. And we saw that tight end come wide open, number 18, because Harrison Smith probably was supposed to cover him, but he said, let me just go and see if I can get home. He's got to be able to give them some type of signal. Hey, I'm going. And then that way the guy can replace him.
It's been a weird year thus far, to say the least. Wouldn't it be ironic and just hilarious? Everybody thought this was going to be potentially a top 5 offense. Wouldn't it be funny as we get further and further into this season that it's actually the defense that becomes the identity? Again, they're just taking baby steps, but every week they seem a little bit better. Sam, I'll give you the closing. What's that?
Remember camp? Remember we were talking about it going, man, the defense is really beating the offense every day. Right. Yeah. Surely the offense is fine.
Right. Of course. Yeah, it's been a weird year, man. But that I just think would be hilarious and ironic. Sam, closing thoughts here on the defense confidence level with the entire unit, just as a whole top to bottom. And then I guess just small sample size here. Davenport leaves the game, tweaks that ankle once again. What's that change for the front 7, you think?
Yeah, I feel like a little bit of a Debbie Downer. I mean, I've seen this group, get torched through the air by Herbert. I've seen them get torched on the ground by Philadelphia. Mahomes, kind of flexed his muscles a lot of the time in the game last week. There were some good things, but they still scored 27. So against the good teams they've played, the defense has still shown a lot of warts. They have taken care of business against the Panthers, against the Bears, and look good for periods against Baker Mayfield. So I guess that means they're not, they can handle the worst teams in the NFL, but they still fall short against the best teams in the NFL. So if you say they're squarely in the middle somewhere, maybe that's actually a nice place to be compared to where they were last year. If you want to look at it glass half full, I would like to clone Josh Metellus and just play with 11 Josh Metelluses on the defense. I love the way he runs around. I love how he interjects himself in the play. I love how hard he hits. He's trying to force turnovers. I love his game, and I want more of it from this defense. Got to show something next week against one of the cleanest offensive operations in the NFL. They're going to be coming in angry. Brock Purdy finally has an L on the ledger. McCaffrey might be hurt. We'll see. Deebo Samuel might be hurt. They got banged up today. So go prove it. Go prove it next week. Congrats to Jordan Hicks. 32nd birthday yesterday. huge game, interception,
Couple gifts.
and a scoop and score. Scoop and score was gigantic in the eventual outcome.
Man, there's been a couple guys who have just kind of slowly impressed week by week quietly on this defensive side of the ball. All the love and spotlight was on Ivan Pace those first few weeks with all the buzz from training camp in the preseason. But guys like Cam Bynum, everybody wrote off Jordan Hicks already. He's been playing great. Byron Murphy with the game-winning interception today. Let's end with this one here because I wanted to touch on the schedule just kind of moving forward, maybe looking at the
there's one guy you
forecast here.
forgot.
Yeah,
that
who you got?
that
Go
I
ahead,
need
call
to
him
shout
out.
out.
Call him out.
Caleb Evans, he's
Dude.
just a good cornerback now, right? Like no caveat.
Just
He
stay healthy.
plays well. Like
Just-
yeah, stay healthy. He plays well. He had, I think he gave up one comeback, or no, he had the pass interference that was rough. But
Yep, sure.
I think that was like the only blunder, and it feels like that's what we've been getting consistently. You know, for all I've been barking about consistency from Evans has been there. Maybe one bad play a game. And other than that, he's been able to keep up on some really, really difficult assignments. He was on DJ Moore a lot today. That's a tough game.
Yeah.
And did well. I couldn't be more stunned at how this secondary that looked so bleak heading into camp is playing.
I'm impressed with, honestly, from the boundary and the corners, the tackling, just the fundamental stuff that Brian Flores comes in. You hire a guy like that for a reason to clean up the sloppiness, tighten the screws, so to speak. And the defensive backs, all of them, top to bottom, they're tackling and just playing sound, fundamental defensive football has really impressed me through 6 weeks. By the way, did I see some Andrew Booth Jr. out on the field? Did anybody else check that out? Did anybody else?
Yeah,
see
a
that?
little bit.
Braun gave him the shout out earlier. I saw that too. And like you said, Braun, seemed purposeful, not because of injury.
Right. It could have been, I mean, Evans has been banged up, so it could have been that rotation. And I don't know if somebody should ask, but acquitted himself well, I thought.
Let's end with this one because, again, I just want to look at the forecast moving forward, the schedule, that whole thing. Because remember, that was always supposed to be the tough part of the schedule right out the gate. The Eagles, the Chargers, just a gauntlet there. But now that's long gone, man. That's in the rearview mirror. That's over with. Problem is, the way the Vikings are playing football right now, all of a sudden, teams like even Atlanta, the Saints, Packers on the road, none of them feel like gimmies anymore at this point in the season. So you're sitting at 2-4. You got 6 games left before your bye week, week 13. San Francisco next Monday night at the bank, at Green Bay, at Atlanta, home against New Orleans, at Denver, then Chicago once again at home on primetime Monday Night Football. What do you guys think the record's going to be by the bye week? Sam, I'll start with you. 6 games.
Well, I've been preaching this all week. There is absolutely a path back to 7-7. The Packers are swooning right now. The Falcons are super inconsistent, lost today. The Saints are super inconsistent, lost today. The Broncos are wretched. The Bears are wretched. The Raiders are semi-wretched. I mean, that is such a winnable slate going into Cincinnati. I might have missed. Yeah, the Raiders are actually after the bye. So I think that going into the bye, you can aspire to be 6-6. Did I get that right? Because you play so many teams that are middling or bad. And until the Vikings lose to one or more of those teams, the season is still alive. I'm not saying that's best for the organization long term. People might rather have them tank, but there's absolutely a path back to relevance. And if you win ugly, you win ugly, but you could win ugly against some of these middle of the pack to lower echelon teams in the NFL. So I think there could be a resurgence coming for these Vikings, even if they stumble into it.
Luke?
They can beat anyone, they can lose to anyone, right? Hang tough with the Chiefs and then go hang tough with the Bears. I see the same thing happening. They'll go play the 49ers tough. They'll go let the Broncos be in the game, even though they shouldn't. 3-3.
I like it.
I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
And they've given you how many reasons not to trust them at this point, though, right? Yep. Any given week, though, it's going to be a lot of fun to keep tabs and keep track and see what this team looks like by the bye week, 6 more weeks from now. Vikings beat the Bears in Soldier by a score of 19-13. Pick up their first division win on the year, 1-0 in the NFC North. Plenty to break down all week. We're going to do that right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota channel. And so glad you guys could join us. Thanks to everyone tuning in and following along on today's postcast. Another reminder, we're going to be here every single game from here on out the rest of the season. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And that's another reminder. Go check out Luke Braun over there every day on the Locked On Vikings podcast. He's pumping out everything you need to know as the Vikings try to keep this momentum going and turn this 1-game winning streak into a 2-game winning streak next week, Monday night against San Francisco. That'll do it for us. Follow me on X at Luke_Spinman. Ron Johnson earlier at 3Ron Johnson. Check him out on the Ron Johnson Show. At Luke Braun NFL. Check him out every day again on the Locked On Vikings podcast. Sam Ekstrom, host of the football party and the new basketball party as well. And subscribe, follow all our work again on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Vikings moved to 2-4 on the season, guys. For Luke Braun, Ron Johnson, Sam Ekstrom, I'm Luke Inman. Until next time, signing out.